Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Canadian Finals for the 2022 Entrepreneurship World Cup, brought to you by the national organizer for EWC Canada, Startup Peel. I'm Alec Wright, the Chief Product Officer at One Valley, and I'll be your host today for what's going to be an amazing national finals as part of the Entrepreneurship World Cup. Founded by MISC and hosted by the Global Entrepreneurship Network and Montserrat, EWC brings together hundreds of thousands of startups from around the world to compete on a global stage. Today, we'll be hearing from some of the top finalists from Canada to see who will move on to the global finals in Riyadh. The EWC is both a competition and an accelerator program that drives founders through access to training, resources, connections, mentorship, as well as the potential to win millions of dollars in cash prizes and investment opportunities, everything they need to grow their business and take it to the next level. Today, we have participants from idea, early, and growth stage companies. They've applied over the last couple months to compete against hundreds of companies from across Canada, and then ultimately hundreds of thousands across the world. The top applicants from each of these stages have been selected to compete in today's national finals. Today, we have the top 2 to 3 companies from Canada competing for their chance to travel to Riyadh in March and compete in the global finals. And again, access that $1 million+ in cash prizes and other opportunities. Today, we'll be selecting one company from each stage to move on to that global final competition. And, ultimately, I think it's pretty exciting because over the years, Canada has had an amazing showing at the Entrepreneurship World Cup. Previous Canadian winners like Nerve Technologies, Flight Material Sciences, and Genesis Biosciences have won hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash that they've taken home from the global finals and are now being used to help grow their business and create impact. So we're really excited to see what this year's group of Canadian companies are going to do on the global stage. But before we hear from the companies, I'd love to share a little bit of information about the groups that have come together to make the Entrepreneurship World Cup possible. First, a big thanks to Jen, the Global Entrepreneurship Network, which is the main organizer of this competition, as well as Montserrat, Saudi Arabia's Small and Medium Enterprise Authority that is providing support to make this all possible and hosting the global finals in Riyadh. We'd also like to share a few words from Jonathan Ortman, the founder of the Global Entrepreneurship Network, before we get started.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Ortmans, and thanks to the organizers, the judges, the investors at today's Entrepreneurship World Cup National Finals. A very big special thanks, however, to all of our competitors. You're not just the doers and the dreamers of our society, but you're taking the risks. You're the ones that are helping us to navigate through a period of uncertainty, addressing some of the big challenges of our day, ranging from climate change to emerging from this pandemic, and of course, all of the frontier issues that are faced by our various industry verticals around the world. Gen Global, we began our journey about 15 years ago, focusing on the startup community development and on supporting the entrepreneurial support organizations that help to make your path easier. And 5 years ago, we decided to accelerate our work on the front line with you, the founders. It was marked and kicked off with Richard Branson in the opening of our first startup campus, now the largest in Africa, called 22 on Sloan in Johannesburg. And since then, we've reached more than 500,000 founders over the course of this last few years. We're very proud to say in that process, it's required developing early stage investor networks around the world. We've launched grants programs and of course provided a lot of accelerator support and launched the Founders Club. We're very, very excited to be intricately with you on this journey through the Entrepreneurship World Cup. So I want to invite you to stay with us. We're in it for the long haul. Either get involved in one or more of our programs on the ground, we're in most countries, or come meet us in person. Our next live gathering, which we do every year, is called the Global Entrepreneurship Congress. And the next one will be May 1 through 4 of 2023 in Melbourne, Australia. So thanks for letting me take a few seconds to wish you luck today and to thank you for all you do in not just helping develop your own future, but that of your fellow citizens and the communities around you.
A big thank you to Jonathan for that message, as well as to Jen for making all of this possible. And I can't say enough amazing things about the organization. Any entrepreneur out there should check out Jen's website to understand all the programs that they offer for companies and founders across the globe. With that, I'd love to turn it over to Melanie Campbell, the Executive Director of Startup Peel, to share a couple words.
Thank you, Alec. Good day, everyone, and well, actually evening for some. And as Alec mentioned, I am the founder of Startup Peel community. It is the Startup Canada community, and thank you so much for taking time to join us today for our third Global Entrepreneurship Network Canadian finale. So excited to see all these incredible startups get to this journey. But before we start, I would like to acknowledge that the land on which I'm joining you from in the region of Peel is part of the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. This unceded territory inhabited by Indigenous peoples who cared for and continue to do so today. I'm grateful for the opportunity to work on this land, and by doing so, give my respect to its first inhabitants and also to the other unceded territories across Canada. We're excited as past Canadians have gone on to pitch, place, and win in the global finales in Riyadh. So thank you again, and thank you to all the startups who took time to enter, and for the finalists who are here pitching today. And I couldn't have done it with all the amazing volunteers who helped to promote and evaluate all the entries. So I'm going to turn it back over to Alec and help to get us started. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Melanie. And again, it's thank you for 3 years of great partnership running the Entrepreneurship World Cup Canadian competition. Now, just a final couple words about the sponsors and partners that have made this possible. As I've said, I'm Alec Wright from One Valley. We are an entrepreneurial support platform that provides access to millions of dollars in technology tools and services, world-class mentorship, learning resources, events, programs, everything that founders need to build their business, and then works with some of the top universities, governments, Fortune 500 organizations as they look to support and engage their startup community. So if you're a founder or if you're someone who supports founders, we'd always love to talk to you. And also I want to give a shout out and a special thanks to the Brampton Innovation District, which provides local talent development and support for entrepreneurs and new business owners through every stage of their journey, from education, training, and reskilling for companies of all sizes across all sectors. And again, it's bringing all these different partners together that makes events like the Entrepreneurship World Cup possible. Now, I'd like to take a moment and introduce you to our esteemed judging panel that have the hard job today of selecting our winning companies and evaluating all of these great teams. We have Liberty White, the creative director of Chosen Media. We have Neha Ball, a general partner at Renew Venture Capital, and my colleague Juan Scarlett, a managing director of One Valley Ventures. I'm now going to give each one of our judges about 30 seconds to introduce themselves and share a little bit more about their background. I'd love to throw it over to you, Liberty.
Thank you so much. I want to first say congratulations to all of you finalists for all of the hard work that you've done. I'm Liberty White, founder of Chosen Media, a video marketing agency, and we also work in the ed tech space. So I know what you're going through as you pitch, having done so for over a decade. And what I'm excited about being here is the fact that the world gets to see all of this amazing Canadian talent and the access to resources that you'll be able to get through this process and ultimately on for the finalists. Thank you so much, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Liberty. Great to have you here. I'd love to hand it over to Neha Ball.
Thank you, Alec, and thank you everybody for having us here today. I am Neha Bahel, general partner at Renew EWC, which is an impact fund, and also former CEO of the oldest business incubator in Canada. It's called the Toronto Business Development Center. been in the ecosystem for over 15 years, and I love what you all are doing, and we will be very, very excited to see it. So congratulations to everybody who's been. Thank you.
Thank you, Neha. And finally, over to you, Juan.
Thanks, Alec. And hello, everyone. Juan Scarlett, I'm the managing director of One Valley Ventures, where we work with partners to develop and execute venture investment strategies leveraging the One Valley ecosystem. In 2021, we launched our first fund, the One Valley Fund, which is a pre-seed and seed stage focused fund investing in standout digital transformation companies from across the One Valley ecosystem and our partner networks. We've invested in 12 companies since launching late last year and are continuing to actively invest today. I've been in the venture capital industry for the past 15 years and broadly working in technology investing and research for the past 20 plus. Prior to joining One Valley, I led an early stage fund called Nimble Ventures based in the San Francisco Bay Area, and also a growth stage investing efforts for Passport Capital. Earlier in my career, I led investing for an alternative venture finance firm called Triple Point Capital, and also led technology investment research for a few public investing firms. I always look forward to the EWC competition. This is my third, I think. Yeah, as Alec mentioned earlier, the Canadian companies have done exceptionally well in the past, as have the US companies. So I've been really excited to be involved with the North American groups in EWC, and good luck to all of the contestants today.
Thank you so much, Juan. And another big thank you for all of our judges today. You will be hearing from them more and more as we get into pitches. But with that, I'd love to introduce you to the teams today that you're going to be hearing from. We have, as we mentioned, companies from each stage of growth, across the startup journey, starting an idea, going to early, and ultimately to the growth stage. So in idea, we have Opalia and Pragmaclin. In early, we have Algae, Hollow Medical, and Responsibly. And in growth, we have MOC Biotechnologies and Marlowe. You'll be hearing from each one of these founders in a moment, but let's take a look at who's going to be presenting. First, we'll have Alessandra Amato from Algae. We'll have Alex Sokolov from Responsibly. We'll have Bronwyn Bridges from Pragmaclin. We'll have David Hodgson from Hollow Medical. We'll have Jennifer Cote from Opalia. We'll have Harit Sohal and Nadia Ladak from Marlowe. And finally, Ali Musavi from MOC Biotech. And a quick reminder of what's at stake here. Each of our winners in the idea early and growth stage will get an immediate advancement to the global finals in Riyadh, where over $1 million in cash prizes and then an incredible amount of other opportunities and benefits will be available. And then we'll be providing a year membership to One Valley Passport, where they can instantly access millions of dollars of discounted technology tools and service, engage with our mentor network, work with the One Valley team, and help get prepared for the global finals in Riyadh. And then finally, our winning teams will also get access to a company valuation service provided by Linking Venturing. So a great opportunity to get some support now, and then a real opportunity to go after the big dollars at the global finals in Riyadh. With that, we are ready to get to pitches. I know that's what everyone is waiting for and here to see. So, we'll get started. Each one of our presenters will have 4 minutes to pitch, and then there will be 4 minutes of Q&A with the judges. As mentioned, you'll be hearing companies from each stage, and we'll be letting you know the company as well as the stage right before each pitch. So with that, I'd like to welcome our first early stage competitor, Alessandra, co-founder and COO of Algae, to the stage.
Hi, my name is Alessandra, and I'm the co-founder and COO at Algae. Algae is the first company creating delicious, purpose-driven food products centered around algae. Our goal is to feed 1 million people carbon-neutral food by 2030. The world is facing a global food crisis of unprecedented proportions. And with the global population expected to feed 10 billion people by 2050 and an already present resource crisis, there's a coming food catastrophe that is bigger than any health problem or social issue. At Algae, we plan to address the global food insecurity caused by climate change, overpopulation, and global geopolitical volatility with algae. Yes, you heard me right, with algae. Algae is one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. It has a 2-to-1 carbon capture, and it requires a fraction of the resources to grow. Thus, it has the potential to be a climate-resilient method of feeding the world and curbing food insecurity. We are producing products that are less expensive, more nutritious, and require less resources than anything currently available on the market. To date, we've demonstrated our ability to build a brand around something completely novel and needed. We built an algae-based consumer product food line, starting with the Impact Bar, that's now selling in 70 stores across Western Canada. Since our launch just over a year ago, we've seen a 40% repeat purchase rate, 20% month-over-month revenue growth, and 52% margins. And we're continuing to grow our product line, distribution, and customer base. However, we know that to have the greatest impact on the planet and the global food systems, we need to move beyond consumer foods and focus on a pillar of the global food system: livestock. While there are many areas for impact, we've chosen to focus on chicken feed as our agriculture beachhead market so we can have a direct, actionable impact while also allowing us to gain valuable data in the short term. In North America, 9.5 billion chickens are produced every year, and chickens grow in just 8 weeks and are mostly raised for meat. Feeding chickens a diet of algae has numerous benefits, including increased nutrition content, enhanced meat and egg flavoring and coloring, disease resistance in chickens, and it has no negative effects on the growing speed. The poultry feed in North America is valued at $5 billion, and it's currently ripe for disruption and expected to reach $8 billion by 2026. And the global animal feed market is valued at $355 billion and is expected to reach $442 billion by 2027. Our beachhead customers are the over 2,800 small to medium scale organic chicken farmers in Canada. These farmers are perfectly positioned to benefit from an algae diet. And in the short term, we'll be working directly with them, but long term, we plan to sell to other feed manufacturers and distributors to reach a wider audience. We have connected with industry experts in the poultry space and have partnered with a researcher and are commencing pilot projects in the new year to validate chicken feed on small to mid-sized scale farms in Alberta. With this pilot projects commencing, we will also be hiring a sales rep to focus on continuing to grow out the consumer food business to allow us more time to focus on growing the agriculture vertical. Algae was founded by 2 students with a shared passion for food and sustainability. Devin has led all of our highly successful marketing campaigns and is the driving force behind many of our brand partnerships, including Panasonic. With my sales background, I've been responsible for driving our retail growth and customer acquisition strategies. We also have a strong team of advisors and mentors in the algae innovation, sales and operation, branding and marketing, and food development space. Algae has the potential to curb food insecurity and combat climate change by targeting the root of the global food system. But we can't do it alone. And so today we're asking for connections to advisors or mentors in the feed space to accelerate our shift into this new market. Please help us to reach our goal to feed 1 million people carbon neutral food by 2030 by choosing food with an impact. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alessandra, and really exciting to learn about the great work you're doing at Algae. Thanks for taking the time to share that with us. I'd love to throw it over to our judges for Q&A. Maybe Juan, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. Thanks for the pitch, Alessandra. I guess I'm curious. 2 questions. One on the production side. Could you tell us more about scaling the production of these algae-based products? I'd love to learn more about how you're doing that today. How would you expect to do it in the future? And then would love to hear more about just the timing of when you would expect the chicken feed products to come to market. I think you mentioned sort of pilots in early next year, but I'd love to understand when you would expect that to be available on the market as well.
Yeah, so I will say with the kind of agriculture aspect, this is a very new pivot for us. So it's something that we're still sort of in the process of. We've done a lot of the market, like secondary market research. We're kind of conducting that primary market research right now. So what right now within the algae space, very few companies out there are actually creating the demand for algae. So there's a lot of companies doing the production and growing of algae. So we have no issues on that side in terms of having the supply for that. And what the pilot studies are going to be looking at is understanding sort of, given the nutrition profile needed to feed chickens, what the sort of right ratio of algae compared to other feed is going to be, to kind of have that optimal nutrition profile. So that's what those studies are going to be looking at. And from there, it's going to sort of, based off of that data that we're able to collect, we're going to be able to build that out, that manufacturing process, and understand that a little bit better. And part of the reason why we've chosen chickens as opposed to cattle or other livestock is just because of that 8-week growing cycle. We'll be able to get a lot of data very quickly. In terms of kind of available for market, I think we'd like to sort of start seeing, at least on a small scale with these smaller farmers, from our current research, we've kind of identified, because of the sort of properties of the algae and the benefits to the chickens, that, as I said, the organic farmers are kind of the right first market. And so getting it out to them in the smaller scale ones in the next sort of 2 years would be our timeline.
Alessandro, and what are you competing with in terms of chicken feed right now? In terms of just not what brands are there, but also what's the difference in price?
So the difference in price is not much right now. Unfortunately, chicken feed is quite cheap to purchase, and is mainly, for the most part, it's a corn or soy based feed. And that's sort of where we're going to try to differentiate, is the costs will have to be absolutely comparable. But it's the nutrition, it's also the sort of sustainability aspect that we're able to bring. And with, as I said, like with the kind of climate resource, with the less water that's going to be required, the less feed, the less land that will be required from using an algae-based feed, it's going to sort of become the go-to choice, just because the cost of all of those natural resources are expected to rise as they become more scarce.
Great pitch. I actually wanted to continue along that conversation of the competition, because if what I saw, you're the first algae-based, I'm just trying to get clear on how easy is it going to be for someone else to enter the market, and what thoughts you put around that?
So there will be, right now there's not a lot of research, and I think that's where a lot of limitations are. Is there's some very preliminary studies that exist, but that's sort of it, and that's what we'd like to explore in these pilot studies. Once we sort of get started, it will be quite easy for other people to sort of enter the market. But what we're really counting on is becoming this like algae innovation house and this algae brand. So being the leaders in the algae space, in the food, in the consumer food and the agriculture sector, and kind of becoming the experts and building that knowledge base to help us build that moat.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alessandra. Thank you to our judges for the very thoughtful questions. And with that, we're going to have to move on to our second presenter. Wonderful. A great first pitch. And now it's my pleasure to welcome up our second early stage company, Alec, co-founder and CEO of Responsibly. Please join me on the virtual stage.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alec, and I'm the CEO of Responsibly. Today, I will talk to you about the future of investing. Sorry about that.
Not a problem, Alec. It was coming through just fine.
Okay.
Looks great.
Awesome. Sorry about that. Hi, everyone. My name is Alec, and I'm here to talk to you about the future of responsible investing. Our story started 3 years ago as a series of research projects at the University of Toronto on applications of recent breakthroughs in AI and natural language processing to responsible investing. Now, as we bring this technology to market, there's an even greater need for it in the asset management industry. Asset managers spend an inordinate amount of time doing largely manual tasks of research, which is reading and modeling in Excel. This process is highly manual and error prone and can be optimized using artificial intelligence. This is 12 billion plus opportunity. We can help automate away the menial tasks of repetitive reading, searching, and financial modeling, freeing up the investment analyst for much more cerebral tasks. Responsibly sits at the intersection of two massive technology trends in finance and asset management. One is around applying natural language processing technologies for investment research. Though the field has grown with application across environmental, social, and governance, or ESG factors, as well as traditional investing, the latest breakthroughs are not being broadly applied in finance. This is because there's a lot of customization required to make these models work. They are making massive strides in other areas of business and in legal, in applications that you may have seen around natural language generation, but the customization has not yet made it to finance, and that those types of technologies and the tweaking them to work for investment management is our bread and butter. The other area is improving financial modeling. The main ecosystem of using essentially Bloomberg and Excel has not changed in the early 90s. There are several companies that have emerged to create better automation around the modeling process, but they're not yet AI enabled. And there's a technology grab that we're using to essentially 10x improve by a factor of 10 everything that exists in the market today. There is a massive market need for this, and we have a scalable software as a service solution to help capture it. With 380,000 buy-side fundamental analysts globally, we have a credible path towards 200 million plus recurring revenues and beyond. Although we are early, we are making significant traction. Working with some of the best names in our space, we are quickly making a name for ourselves in our technology, while funding much of our research and development efforts through industry collaboration. Our clients use our technology to create a more financially driven model for responsible investing. We help them value economic externalities and identify investment risks. Imagine having an opportunity to be the first to spot looming issues for a company like FTX or not make the decision to invest with them in the first place. Responsible investing is simply good investing, and we are building the bridge between ESG and traditional investing through our cutting-edge tech. We've brought a really strong team to help tackle this problem. I bring an expertise in finance and deep academic background, as well as experience working in the machine learning space for 10 plus years. Our CTO, Joseph, is a rock star engineer with 10 plus years of full stack engineering experience. And his last role before joining us was the founding employee in a Series A fintech startup. And Vova, our COO, has 10 plus years of end-to-end sales experience and deep experience building sustainable large-scale systems. We have a team of about 10 folks outside of the founding team. We've made quite a bit of progress and have grown and have a bona fide, really, really strong engineering and machine learning team. Please get in touch if you'd like to learn more or tune into our socials for more exciting news and insights to come. Thank you. Look forward to the questions.
Thank you very much, Alec. Really exciting to learn about responsibly and all the work that you're doing. I'd love to turn it over to our judges for Q&A. Maybe Neha, do you want to kick us off?
Yes, absolutely. I was ready. The moment I heard ESG, tell me more. How are you bridging that gap between ESG? Because ESG is very corporate-ish parameters, and how do you turn it down to what you're investing in from a investment point of view?
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly it's a complex problem. I'm actually in Barcelona now, hence bumping with the laptop for the UNPRI conference. So, it's a lot of people. It's a massive movement. There's about 2,000 people here, but there's a big disconnect between traditional finance professionals and the ESG folks at large. And that is one of the primary problems. So the space right now is a little bit broken, right? The finance people look at the ESG movement with a lot of mistrust. And that's because we lack the ability to connect it clearly to financial outcomes. And essentially, that's our work. We work to create ESG factors from scratch in real time using artificial intelligence to process news, company disclosure, social media data, understand what the economic externalities these companies are creating, and ultimately connect that to valuation models to give a very pragmatic reason for asset managers to do the right thing.
Would definitely love to know more about it, but right over to you, Liberty.
Yeah, and so my question was around the customer acquisition. I see that you have 3 pilots already, and what is your plan to gain more customers?
Yeah, so early on, right? We're a B2B SaaS company, right? So of course, early on, a lot of it is more complex sales, right? So a pilot essentially is a pre-sale, right? So there's a recurring revenue component to it, but there might still be some customization. However, our core offering is a bona fide SaaS product, right? It's just an app that you can log in, right? It's a very easy onboarding process. It doesn't require much integration. So in the long run, we do have a very low cost channel, and it's just a bona fide SaaS business, very, very high growth margin. And it is complicated to build up distribution in our space, but many other companies have done it. And as we progress, our cost of sale will go down. And fortunately, our product is very, very scalable.
Okay, I'll jump in. Alec, thanks for the pitch. I guess I'm curious about the model. So you mentioned B2B SaaS. $500,000 in first year revenue from the 3 pilots that are currently ongoing. I'd love to learn more about how you're pricing the product, and you mentioned, I think, some customization was involved as well. How are you pricing that? How much of that 500,000 is sort of traditional SaaS versus customization or consulting work that you've done for these companies?
Yeah. So we have about a couple $100K in recurring revenues right now. There's a couple models for the recurring side of the business. So one is basically selling the data that we generate as a byproduct of running our application, right? So that's sort of a pretty normal business in our space, right? The other one that's more interesting is giving a fundamental analyst access to our SaaS platform. And that's ultimately our plan to grow. And that's the really scalable part of that business. So that's priced about 10K a license per year, right? So, you can think of it for, a medium-sized asset manager by global standards. Maybe you have 10 or so investment analysts, right? So it's 100K in recurring revenues. Overall, there is 380,000 of those target clients globally. We sell to all investment managers, right? So regardless whether, they run an ESG strategy or it's an ESG branded fund, at the end of the day, they still need to look at this information because it's increasingly driving prices. And, a lot of these ESG issues that are cropping up right now, FTX is a great topical example, right? It can be company destroying. So, it doesn't matter what investors' values are. They still need to have this information and incorporate it into the investment decision-making process.
Alec, can I jump in for one more question?
Absolutely.
One more 10-second question, Neha.
Okay. I want to know, what are you replacing as of now or complementing, or is it absolutely something new an asset manager or a fund will use?
We are complementing. So in the future, the way the space will evolve, I believe, there's going to be disclosure-based ratings, right? So if you know the space, MSCI, Sustainalytics, all those guys, they're not going away. And there's going to be this more real-time valuation perspective of ESG, right? What is happening right now? What are the externalities are creating? And what is the impact on the valuation? That's what we're creating. We're supplementing. That space doesn't exist yet. It's being built today.
Thank you so much, Alec. And a big thanks to our judges for the great questions. We're now going to be moving on to our third presenter. Next up is our first idea stage competitor, Bronwyn, co-founder and CEO of Pragmaclin. Please join me in welcoming her to the virtual stage.
Welcome to Pragmaclin. Hi there, my name is Bronwyn Bridges, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Pragmaclin. Before I tell you a bit about where we are today, I'd like to tell you a bit about our story and what inspired us to get here. We decided to start Pragmaclin because we wanted to be able to help patients see help faster than Gord had to experience and hopefully catch disease progression earlier on. I took a Bachelor of Science of Biology at St. Francis Xavier University, and I actually worked side by side with a Parkinson's patient for a year. And he was pretty far advanced, and it was kind of heartbreaking to see, so I wanted to be able to do something to help others that were suffering with the same condition. I met Gordon while doing my research, and he came to me with a brilliant idea to be able to help Parkinson's patients. And then our idea actually progressed into a full software which we've developed called PRIMS. It's a Parkinson's Remote Interactive Monitoring System. So in office, a clinician will actually run through an assessment using motor and non-motor data. So the way that the software works is the depth cameras are attached to the computer. The Parkinson's patient just stands in front of the camera, nice and easy, and does the tasks that the computer asks it to. They don't need to attach any sensors to the body, which makes it really easy for fine motor tasks that Parkinson's patients typically struggle with. At the end of all the tests, the software will actually rate the patient in real-time data and give them a score of where they sit on a Parkinson's scale from 0 to 4. This is able to give clinicians more data so that they can monitor patients over more time and also possibly adjust their medications if needed. Ever since I started taking a science degree, I've been really invested in being able to help improve people's lives, and Gord has become family, so I want to have that same connection with so many other patients. It's hard to put into words how we got here and the relationship we have, so I knew that a video would do a better job. Worldwide, the biggest problem we see is we have an aging population. This means that cases are constantly doubling, especially for Parkinson's disease. The biggest problem, though, that we see is that neurologists use subjective methods to assess their patients, which ends up resulting in 25% of the cases as being misdiagnosed. This leads to long wait times, only yearly appointments for patients, and neurologists having incredibly high patient loads, leading to clinician burnout. As well, the amount of time spent reporting for a subjective assessment versus hands-on care is what we're trying to solve. The market size for Parkinson's monitoring is a $1.1 billion market opportunity. However, our plan is to grow and scale into other motor diseases as well, such as stroke rehabilitation, brain injury, and more, which becomes a minimum of a $5.5 billion market size. So we've created PRIMS. As you saw in the video, our Parkinson's Remote Interactive Monitoring System is highly competitive as we use existing off-the-shelf hardware in a unique way to offer a low-cost package solution that's great competitors for the systems on the market that don't cover all motor and non-motor symptoms of the disease. We have both a clinician portal and a patient portal. So for a clinician, they'll actually be able to pull up all of the patient's past home survey portions, as well as the in-office motor assessments done with the cameras. From here, they'll be able to be alerted to any progression that's going on, as well as any symptoms that they should be checking on a regular basis. The patient is now felt more frequently and objectively in their assessments, and a clinician is more in touch with their Parkinson's patient's progression. Our go-to-market strategy is to be sold business to business using a SaaS model on a monthly basis to hospitals, clinics, research organizations, and down the road, pharmaceuticals for phase 3 clinical trials. So far to date, we've been able to leverage $1.1 million in non-dilutive government funding and secure 4 validation trial contracts from across the globe. We have support from incubators, accelerators, government organizations, and pitch competition wins. We consist of myself and my co-founder, Gord, of Parkinson's disease patients, and a team of dedicated employees who are all working on the back end, the front end, in digital health, neurology, and more. We're seeking investment, funding, board members, advisors, and trial partners. So welcome to PregMcLean, where the future of care starts at home. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bronwyn. Really amazing concept, and it's great to see the early progress that you're having. I'd love to turn it over to our judges for any questions. Maybe Liberty, do you want to kick us off?
Sure, I can. Definitely a well-needed tool as with our aging population. And I was wondering if you could speak a little bit more about about your revenue model, if you can break that down a little bit more, please.
Of course, our revenue model has been changing as we've been progressing and having those customer interviews with the paying customers on the end. And so we've ended up actually changing to a per patient model based on reimbursement codes within the United States and what that actually looks like. So it will be charged on a per patient basis. The final price is still be determined, but it's based off of the reimbursement that is available to a neurologist. And then there's a one-time implementation fee, and this is setup, training, and the cost of the cameras to be set up in the clinic or the hospital.
Any questions, Neha or Juan?
Yeah, thanks for the pitch. A great pitch. I want to understand more around, would this ever look like a B2C play as well?
We get asked this all the time by a lot of the patients who have come in to actually try the software because they're excited about what that looks like. So we actually have a kind of two portions and pillars. We wanted to make sure that patients could access a free opportunity to be able to feel more in touch with their disease. So we ended up splitting up our software into these two sections, the at-home survey portion and the in-office motor assessment. So the motor assessment is the paid assessment that is paid for by the clinics or hospitals. But the at-home survey portion is actually done for patients. So a B2C model, but it's actually a free model at the moment. And this is to help us track more data and provide this for research moving forward, but also for a patient to be able to access this on a more frequent basis. So this survey portion is to be done on a weekly, bi-weekly basis. So in that sense, a B2C model, but a free B2C model at the moment. And that's just so that everybody has access to that healthcare opportunity while they're waiting to be in person with a neurologist. And that's just logistically, the cameras are difficult to set up in an end user Parkinson's patient's home. So that's something that we've learned through customer interviews.
Got it. Thank you.
Welcome.
I'll jump in. Thanks so much for the pitch, Bronwyn. Very interesting opportunity. I'm curious, what framework are you using to score the patients in your solution with the tasks that they're performing? How has that developed over time? And how has it been tested for efficacy to date as well?
Great question. So we actually use an international standardized scale that is supposed to be used in a clinic by a neurologist. But currently that scale is so long and lengthy and has so many components and symptoms that it's not done because of the time constraints. And so we've taken that scale and what that looks like in sections. So it's based off of a 0 to 4 rating in severity, 4 being the highest severity and 0 being no symptoms. And we've actually quantified that based on bringing in patients and what their severity looks like. So now currently those validation trials that I said we had secured in the 4 different areas, that is to test the efficacy and the validation of how effective that is in scoring that 0 to 4 scale. And that's the trials are set up so that a patient is tested and then a patient is then tested by a neurologist and that score is then compared. Like I said, there's a 25% misdiagnosis. So our margin of error can be quite large to be comparable to a neurologist at the very moment. But the goal is to complete those trials so that it is more accurate over time. And then as we do more trials and have more patients using our system, it will become more accurate. But we did base it off of the international standardized scale for assessing Parkinson's disease.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bronwyn. And again, a thank you to our judges for the thoughtful questions.
Thank you.
With that, we'll be moving on to our next presenter. Next up is our final early stage competitor, David, co-founder and CEO of Hollow Medical. Let's welcome him to the virtual stage.
Hello, everyone. I'm David Hodson, the CEO and co-founder of Hollow Medical. We're on a mission to improve respiratory health, reduce hospitalizations, and respiratory-related deaths. But to start, I want us to breathe together. Breathe with me. In and out. Now, you'll find that's quite comfortable. You're used to this because this is the normal rate of breathing. But when I say so, we'll breathe more quickly. Let's start. In, out, in, out, in, out. Let's stop now. If we continued, many of you might experience anxiety, fear, and confusion due to a lack of oxygen to the brain. And this is just a fraction of what a patient experiences during an asthma attack. Now imagine it was a 6-year-old named Sophia with severe asthma, breathing so rapidly, unable to stop, sent to the emerge not once, but 3 times in the last year. Imagine how scary that is for her parents. She was treated with a pressurized inhaler and a holding chamber. And you can see just by looking at this image how massive that device is that she relies on daily. From school to soccer practice to sleepovers, like many other children, she wears a fanny pack to carry this tool. Unsurprisingly, she's embarrassed, made fun of, and she, her teachers, and parents find it difficult to clean and use properly. As a result, as few as 10% of patients use a chamber, and each day 11 people in America die from asthma, often avoidable with proper treatment. Chambers are recommended for every inhaler because the inhaler blasts the medication at 100 kilometers an hour, the speed limit on most highways in Canada, trapping the drug in the mouth and throat. But a chamber lets Sophia breathe at her own pace. The resultant is as much as 4 times drug reaching the lungs and more relief with each breath. So we need to improve adherence globally with these devices, but no one wants to carry a thermos, regardless of the benefit. Everyone carries a cell phone, though. So I introduce to you the Breezy Chamber. Reinvented from the ground up, it fits comfortably in a pocket and has world-first technical advancements. It took over a year to develop, but we didn't do it alone. The patent-pending device is a result of hundreds of end users' input. And beyond its size, it has a world-first flow control system that makes sure patients breathe properly every time, delivering more drug than a standard chamber in a device that's easier to clean than ever. And we're proud that experts have told us that we've solved current problems. It's small, it's intuitive, and it's a real breakthrough. So we're targeting over a $3 billion North American market where low adherence means the majority remains uncaptured. The need for this device is only growing in the short and long term due to COVID-19. Retailing at $50 with existing reimbursement, it's a recurring yearly expense. And we're working with a world-class contract manufacturer, and they said this is the most exciting concept they've seen in 20 years. With a growing network of early adopters, we have a pilot and regulatory clearance plan for 2023, and we're working with distributors, opening channels to patients who use a chamber and those who should. This is only possible due to our team's proven experience. I'm the CEO, an engineer and medical student, and prior to medicine, I invented a device that extends the lives of those living with liver cancer. My co-founder, Sarah, was a medical device engineer and is managing quality and regulatory. Dr. Watson has treated chamber users for over 40 years, and our lead product developer, Brandon, and CFO, Brett, are experienced in making the most of limited resources. Our advisory board consists of experts dedicating their lives to respiratory illness, like Dr. Gardenhire, the author of the leading textbook on the pharmacology of respiratory care. And since 2021, we rapidly set the stage for commercialization, hitting key milestones with massive support. In 2023, we'll conduct our first pilot, achieve our first sales, and open the door for a new age of drug delivery. We're excited to bring this patient-centered, innovative solution to millions of patients who need it now. And it's already a win being here to generate awareness. Moving on to globals would help us support patients like Sophia around the world. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Really, really exciting work that you're doing for a massive problem, and great to see the progress. I'd love to throw it over to our judges for any questions that they might have for David. Juan, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. Thank you, David. So I've been fortunate, I guess, to not have to deal with asthma for myself or my child. But I guess I'd love to learn more about the unit itself and the current units on the market. I guess, how often are they replaced? So $50 per unit is not a significant amount, but are they replaced on a monthly, weekly basis? I'm just curious as to how often people will be purchasing your unit.
They're typically replaced on an annual basis, and that's deemed based on performance as it degrades over time. And that cost that's set is based on reimbursement. So it's meant to keep it as a device that doesn't add a burden to a patient who might only be able to afford one a year. But some insurance plans cover up 2 to 6 devices, depending on how quickly you use them based upon the frequency of use.
Thank you.
And is that true for the devices in the market as well right now?
Yes, so our lifespan is consistent with that market-leading chamber that you've seen in the image there.
And then if I could touch on your, David, thank you for the pitch. The funding, the slide was a little quick at the end, but is that accurate that you're saying you just need $1 million? Is that the runway you need for 2014? If you can talk through that, please.
Absolutely. So so far we've gotten this far with just over $300,000 in non-dilutive funding, and that's through awards, competitions, and so on. But beyond that, we're currently fundraising, and we believe a combination of dilutive and non-dilutive funding around 1.25 million is what it's going to take to get this to market successfully by the end of 2023 with our first sales at that time. And then beyond that, our goal was of $1 million in revenue in 2024.
And maybe I'll throw one quick question in, David. I'd love to understand more about your go-to-market strategy post-approval. Is it distributor-based, or how are you thinking of getting this in the hands of patients?
Absolutely. So we're already working on that because we understand, we're a small medical device company. Our focus right now is creating, the most impactful product that we can. And in order to make sure this is widely accessible, we need the right strategic partners. So we're working on strategic distribution partnerships so that we can leverage a small internal sales team, but we can also leverage not only the channels, but the existing sales network that they have. And we're already having success with these conversations.
Wonderful. Any additional questions from our judges?
David, one more question. Are there any, I don't know, I don't remember if you talked about it, but are there any patents that you already have or you applied? Is that part of what you need the funding for? That's
all been accomplished over the last year, our development, and it was all based around our core IP to make sure this was sustainably protectable. So we already got quite a broad utility patent filed, and we're working on design patents, which is why we're being somewhat discreet in how we present the device now, because it's obviously important going forward for commercialization.
Got it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, David, and thank you to our judges. Great to learn about Halo Medical. With that, we'll be moving on to our next presenter. Next up is our final idea stage competitor, Jennifer, co-founder and CEO of Opalia. Let's welcome Jennifer to the virtual stage.
Hi, everyone. It's an honor to be here among such amazing companies. My name is Jennifer, and I'm the CEO and co-founder at Opalia, based in Montreal, and we are making whole milk without cows. Globally, we have been increasingly aware of the effects of dairy farming on our environment. They are responsible for environmental degradation, but also on the animal exploitation side of things and on the spread of pathogens. So we need to find a solution to make dairy more appealing. More sustainably, companies have been turning towards more sustainable alternatives in the recent years, with the global market size increasing from 19 billion to expected 123 billion by 2030. But unfortunately, the reason why it's taking so long to grow and in the past recent years is because that the alternative dairy is not palatable. It doesn't taste or function like real dairy, which is a disincentive for many customers, including myself. So that is why I co-founded Opalia, where we make milk without cows by using bovine mammary cells. We are able to make a whole milk product that is sustainable, ethically made, cost-effective, and most importantly, fully functional. The team behind this is small but mighty. I personally have a background in behavioral science, studying human motivation, and I have a background in management. My co-founder is a genetic engineer with a PhD in neurobiology. My CSO has experience in cell culture, so over 10 years of experience, and has a PhD in experimental medicine. And my lead molecular biologist has experience studying breast cancer and mammary cells specifically. We also have a team of advisors and investors with experience in food tech, dairy, pharma, biotech, and more. But now let's go back to our solution, making milk without cows. We have a sustainable alternative that is made using cells. So these cells are extracted from the udder of the cow, and they're modified using our patent pending technology so that we can make more milk for longer and at a fraction of the price. These cells are then seeded inside of a bioreactor, which looks like little straws and mimics the inside of the cow udder. Then these cells are stimulated using our proprietary molecules to activate lactation, and then whole milk is secreted. We can then harvest it in the liquid form or dry it in a powder so that we can use it as a B2B ingredient inside of different market segments, from food to cosmetics and pharmaceuticals. We provide a solution that can fit well into the existing industry because it's the same thing that has been produced for centuries, whole milk. As opposed to our competition, we are the only company that is able to deliver on a full functional product that has an identical taste to traditional milk and that is nutritionally complete because we can make all of the ingredients, so proteins, fat, and sugars, and we are sustainable alternatives. Since our creation in 2021, we have made a proof of concept, being able to make whole milk with all of the proteins, fat, and sugars. We have also removed the expensive bovine serum from our cell medium and growth factors and growth hormones, which means that we have decreased our process by 98%. And we are currently working on a stable cell line so that we can work on a prototype of making continuous milk inside of a bioreactor. This brings us to the next step, which is currently we are raising a $3.5 million round so that we can capture between $3 to $5 million in non-dilutive funds, which will help us to finish our prototype and be closer to a pilot scale. So thank you so much for listening to my pitch and be part of this revolution by contacting me today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jennifer. Incredibly fascinating and interesting work that you're doing. I'm sure we'll have some great questions from the judges. Neha, do you want to kick us off?
Absolutely. Thank you, Jennifer. Great pitch. I think I'll probably be jumping ahead of it, but what is your go-to-market strategy on getting to the shelf? Because this market, it's also a lot of people and a lot of brands say exactly the same thing that you're doing until you know what exactly is the product and people can use it. So what's your go-to-market strategy on the product?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, it's a novel innovation, so it has to be scaled up. Currently, it's in the lab. So we have about 4 to 5 years ahead of us before we are able to reach the market. But we want to basically deliver on a solution that can be adopted by the industry. So what we've been talking to our customers about is building a factory or a blueprint for a factory that can be licensed to existing dairy companies that can then use this blueprint to build a factory next to theirs. So for instance, they can build our factory next to their cheese processing facility and just use the milk from our cells to put into their facility. So that's our market strategy. It's B2B mostly rather than going B2C directly on the shelves with the like Pensup milk, for instance.
I'll jump in. Thank you, Jennifer, for the pitch. I'm curious, what and you may have mentioned it in one of the slides, but what is the sort of next major 1 or 2 milestones that you would expect to complete here over the kind of the next 12 to 18 months with this financing that you're currently raising? Would love to understand that better.
So the biggest milestone is to be able to prove its scalability. So we have to take it out of the petri dish and show that it's feasible inside of a bioreactor. And the bioreactor will allow us to have 1 unit of continuous milk production. And once you have that 1 unit, you can basically scale it out and have multiple of these mini bioreactors making milk at the same time. And that allows us to think on how we can scale more effectively in the future while we have a production going on and where we can work with the companies. So churning out contracts on the products that we're building. So the main focus is really that mini bioreactor for the next 2 years.
And then just one follow-up question, really more on, I guess, on the regulatory side. Could you give us a quick overview of what the regulatory pathway looks like? I mean, I would imagine that given that we have seen some sort of cultured food products come to market more recently, there is sort of a defined pathway here, but would love to understand that better.
Yeah, so currently the cell-based meat companies have been building the framework around novel foods, as we call them. In terms of milk, no company has been there yet. So it's a very similar process. However, we can get away with more than the cell-based companies because the product is not the cell itself. So we have to do a bit less proving of the final end product than they would in terms of the cell, etc. So in our case, we use a lot of genetic engineering to reduce the price, and it's really our key advantage in the company. And the cells are genetically modified, but the milk is not a GMO. So that allows us to go more easily throughout the regulatory pathway and obtain the approval faster.
Thank you.
Great pitch, Jennifer. My quick question is just more so around the marketing side. So I know that you said this is a B2B, but then ultimately it's going into the hands, if I understood that correctly, into the hands of your everyday customer. So what is the value prop to them so that they will either make the switch? If you can talk me through that a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest advantage is more on the sustainability side of things. Because we're not using cows, we're decreasing greenhouse gas emissions by up to 97%. We're decreasing the water use, land use, and all of that. So what we need to focus on is the added benefits. Eventually, we will also be working on different cell lines that will have the capacity to either have more protein added into the products, less fat, less cholesterol. So that can be very palatable for customers who are looking to make not only more sustainable choices, but also more healthy choices for their own health.
And so the research will be a key factor in that, because over the years, we've seen where people have come out with saying something and then we hear otherwise. So
yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Jennifer, and thank you to our judges. It was great learning about Opalia.
Thank you.
With that, we have completed our idea and early stage pitches. We have 2 pitches to go, which are both of our growth stage competitors. Next up is the first of our growth stage competitors, Marlo. Please join me in welcoming co-founders Harit and Nadia to the virtual stage.
Hi everyone, my name is Nadia and I'm joined with my co-founder Harit, and together we're building Marlo, the one-stop shop for menstrual wellness, starting with the world's first ever lubricated tampon. And this all started when one of my co-founders shared that she has a lot of pain and discomfort when inserting a tampon. She's a swimmer, so she actually relies on tampons to compete in her sport and was super frustrated when pads would limit that daily active lifestyle. And she wasn't alone. We had a TikTok video about tampon insertion pain go viral with over 8 million views and thousands of comments like the ones you see here, really showing how widespread this problem is. So our solution was the first ever lubricated tampon. It's more environmentally sustainable than the status quo, as it's 100% organic cotton with a plant-based applicator. And it's paired with a water-based lubricant that you can easily dip your tampon into to coat it in one mess-free dip for smoother insertion. After a whole year of product development and testing, we successfully received our Health Canada and FDA approvals. We partnered with contract manufacturers as well as a third-party logistics partner for fulfillment and shipping, and both partners are ready to scale for us. Our product is delivered through a direct-to-consumer subscription model, which results in recurring revenue. Currently, people are already trying to hack this solution at home, but it's really messy and there's a lot of stigma around purchasing lubricant. Whereas our solution is an easy one-dip, mess-free process, and it's tested and marketed specifically to be used for tampons in a really convenient way. Our product is purchased on a direct-to-consumer e-commerce subscription, which results in recurring revenue. And the most exciting part is that there's such high loyalty in this space, with customers getting their period for over 39 years, representing not just a strong lifetime value opportunity, but an overall exciting financial opportunity.
Over the last year, we've really focused on optimizing our fundamental metrics. So this quarter, we had a month-over-month revenue growth rate of 40%, which represents a strong demand for the product in the market. We also have a churn rate of 5%, which is below the industry average, and we have a high repurchase rate of 20%. And the reason for that is that at the end of the day, these customers aren't just buying tampons. They're joining a movement and a community of over 50,000 members who are active online, as evident through our 50 million plus organic views on our TikTok. We figured out a cost-effective way of acquiring customers. So we have a CAC of $16 and an AOV of $32, meaning that we're able to break even on the customer after just one purchase. And why is now the perfect time to be doing this? Gen Z and millennial consumers have really started to prioritize menstrual wellness as an important part of their overall health routine. And giant retailers such as Sephora and Bloomingdale's have started to respond by introducing menstrual and sexual wellness categories for the first time ever. So we want to be at the forefront of this movement as it gains traction. And while we're starting with our lubricated tampon as a flagship product, we aim to be much bigger than that. We want Marlo to be a one-stop shop for all your menstrual wellness needs. And we're going to do that by growing our retail presence, by introducing more innovative period products to the market, and developing a comprehensive educational hub that will be the go-to resource for any menstrual-related questions. And with this plan in mind, we are planning to grow to $7 million in revenue by 2024, most of which will be fueled by the monthly recurring revenue. And how will we make that happen? Nadia and myself are two of the 4 co-founders, and all 4 of us have been recognized as Canada's top 30 under 30 entrepreneurs. We're also very proud to be advisors to the Canadian government as they roll out their menstrual equity strategy for 2023. Over the last year, we've used the $500,000 from our angel raise to lay down all the foundational work, and now we're very excited to be raising $1.5 million in pre-seed round so we can fuel the growth and ensure that Marlo is the household period brand name. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nadia and Harit. It's wonderful to learn about Marlo, and congratulations on the traction to date and incredible growth metrics. I'd love to throw it over to our judges for any questions. Liberty, do you want to kick us off?
Yes, Harit and Nadia, great pitch. And just wanting to instantly the community aspect, like there's a great opportunity here. And you mentioned the education side as well. Can you talk about what that would look like and how that plays? Like, is there anything monetary there, or is this just a service to your community?
So right now our education hub is primarily on our blog and on our TikTok platforms. It's really an organic way to connect with the community, and we see it both as a cost-effective customer acquisition strategy, but also as a retention model so that people can keep coming back to the brand. They also use it to share it with their friends, and it's more organic than sharing a product. They can share a helpful resource that they found on our brand with their friends and their family. And so this will evolve to a comprehensive educational platform. And we've started to map out the wireframes of having people come to the site and click on what kind of user group they are, whether they're a first-time menstruator or they're needing to learn about fertility, their postmenopause, eventually building out this platform to capture all reproductive health needs and have it be a community that people can talk to each other, express their problems. We really see that once you join into this community, people are opening up, and they're opening up these conversations around these important topics. And it's really coming into the media now too. So we're excited about the evolution of how this platform could look, not necessarily monetarily, but as a customer acquisition and retention model.
And just to add on to that, and then it also sounds like there's a great opportunity for data as well. Is that a part of what you're looking at as well?
Definitely. We want to use that.
Yeah.
We want to use that data to really personalize people's experiences. So not tracking things that are not necessary, but things around their buying habits, how often they use a product, what kind of products they're looking for, and really working with leading data providers, not to do anything like sell or anything, but more so to understand our customers and how we can personalize their experiences.
Any questions from Neha or Juan?
Yeah, I'll jump in. Thank you so much. A great pitch. I want to understand if the existing product, which is the tampon and the lubricant, are you at any point in time also looking it to be 2 separate products? Do you make your own tampons, or you could use any tampons?
Yeah, so currently the products are separate. The lubricant and the tampons are separate, so people can purchase it and use it accordingly. Some people only need the lubricant on the first or the last day, and they don't use it throughout the middle of the cycle. But with that being said, our team is working on a pre-lubricated tampon, and for those, we're filing some provisional patents, so we have IP protection. So we're working with some research labs here in Canada to develop a standalone product, so it's an even easier split for the people who are using current tampons to switch to something that's a bit more comfortable.
And that would mean they can go away from a subscription model?
No, they would still subscribe. So Marlo would be selling the lubricated tampon, so they would just subscribe to that product. So Marlo would still own that IP, and we would still be selling on a subscription model.
Thanks.
I'll jump in. Thank you so much for the presentation to both of you. I really have 2 questions. One is just on the traction to date. I guess I'd love to understand when you started selling the product into customers, how many purchases you've seen to date, and of those purchases, how many of them have been one time versus recurring. And then the other question was separate, but on the founding team itself, would love to know more about your backgrounds, actually, if you have the time to do so.
Yeah, I'll jump on the revenue question and I'll take Nadia, take Nadia the team question. So in terms of revenue and traction so far, so the first year was all product development since it's a class 2 medical device. So we launched into market earlier this year in January 2022. And so far we have about 1,500 customers and 50% of those are subscribers. And what's interesting is that we're also seeing that we have a 20% repurchase rate. So there's about 20% of those customers who are coming back and they're repurchasing and they haven't subscribed yet. So we're also creating campaigns to make sure that the people who are coming back and repurchasing can be put into our subscription funnel of customers as well. And I'll let Nadia talk about the team.
And on the team side, we all met in business school. We've actually known each other for over 6 years now. So we really have a strong team. We have diverse experiences in management consulting, in brand and asset management, as well as creative direction and community building. We were recognized as the top 30 under 30 entrepreneurs, which we were really proud of that. We've completed some of the leading accelerators in Canada, like Next 36, League of Innovators, Invest Ottawa's Sheboot Capital Readiness Program. So we've really have a lot of mentors through that as well. So we have some of the leading growth marketing mentors. The former CEO of Toys R Us is helping us with our retail strategy. So in addition to our founding team's experiences, we also have a lot of incredible mentors who are supporting us along the way as well.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both so much for sharing the Marlowe story, and can't wait to see how the company continues to grow. And thank you again for our judges. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce our final competitor of the night and the second growth stage company, Ali, co-founder and CEO of MOC Biotech.
Hi.
Hi, Ali. If you can share your screen.
Sure. Hi, my name is Ali. I am a CEO and CTO of MOC Biotech. I lost my good friend because he couldn't afford cancer medication. And he is not alone. 1 out of 3 Americans stop or delay taking medication. The expensive drug discovery caused by outdated 2-dimensional cell culture and animal testing. However, FDA released Act 2 modernization for the alternative methods in this September. We're bringing a first world 4-dimensional hybrid bioprinter that is integrated with a smart software and customized bioink. The bioprinter look like a 3D printers, but the difference is the bioprinting will be using the biomaterials and the cell, and they can cloning different kind of the tissues and organs. This is a short view of the product.
Mox Biotechnologies Incorporation offers a hybrid bioprinting platform. Mox novel technology combines various additive manufacturing elements and per-dimensional cell printing technologies to create a platform optimized for cancer research and drug discovery. Per-dimensional bioprinting can create more natural cell interactions than 2-dimensional methods with better predictive value. This revolutionary technology will accelerate safe and effective drug development.
Our product have several features, like a first 4-dimensional hybrid bioprinter that is integrated with the AI and IoT technology. It have a different kind of the smart bed technology that can be used for the simulation of the different kind of the drug discovery, look like the inside the body. It have a different kind of the modular heads that comes with the novel bioinks that we developed in our research center. Our technology have a faster result, it have a less expensive, and it have a more accurate result for different kind of drug discoveries. Our market will be a global oncology cancer research that it will be expected to be 288 billion by 2030, and with a 7.7 CAGR. Our main customers are North American pharma biotech and contract research organizations. Our revenue model is B2B, and we are selling our product as a bioprinter, bioink, and a software, or we can providing a different kind of the services for the companies or research center that don't want to buy the actual bioprinter. We have a different kind of the development roadmap. Till now, we have the MVP Plus. So we are testing and validating our system right now, and we're trying to launch in 2024. We are trying to get $2 million in 2024 with a gross profit of about 80%. Our IRR will be around 32%, and we are looking for a venture about $4.5 million. Our team's based on me. I had a different kind of the knowledge-based company and have the exit of them. Arash with us as an experience of 20 years in the business and operation. We have a different kind of the researcher in different kind of the area and engineering. We are working with several kind of the advisors from different kind of the organization and universities. We have a current partner and supporters from the CTA Canadian Technology Accelerator, Innovacorp, Canada National Research Council, and we are collaborating with different universities for validation of our technology, and we have some kind of the ethical code for our technology. Our technology right now is patented, and we have some other utility patent as well. We are looking for the partnership and collaboration. We are looking for the investment, and also we are trying to doing the mass production in 2024. Thank you for your time. I'd be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you very much, Ali. And great to learn about MOC and the work you've done. I'd love to turn it over to our judges for any questions. Maybe Juan, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. Thank you, Ali. I guess I'm curious about a couple of things. One, and I think you may have mentioned it in one of the slides quickly, but I'd love to understand the differences between your solution and current alternatives that pharmaceutical companies and drug development companies are using today. And then secondly, we would love to understand the technology validation process, what that looks like, what you've completed in terms of validation to date, and then what you expect to do over the next 2 years prior to launching the product.
Yes, as I mentioned, the pharmaceutical company using the old, outdated research method like a two-dimensional cell culture and animal testing for the preclinical test, and it is from the 19th century that they are keep working this process. But there is a breaking news in this September that FDA changed the process of using the alternative methods to the animal testing. So in that case, our product will be the novel product that can be used for these purposes. So it means that it can be used by different kind of the pharmaceutical company, and it will be decreasing the process, it will be decreasing the price. So eventually the drugs that will be for the patients will be decreasing the price based on the that this process becoming less and less. And we are validating our technology with different kind of the cancer research around Canada and Asia, and we are trying to enter the market after getting the final validation in 2024.
And I might have missed it, but did you say that there was any revenue, or because I saw that chart with your numbers, but just trying to get clear.
We are in a revenue right now, and we are trying to launch in 2024. So we are in the TRL 8 right now, so we will be enter the market in 2024.
And you already have any kind of testing, like Jan asked for the validation part of it, any of those that's going on, at least even in the testing phase?
Yes, right now we're having some collaboration with a different university under the program of the IRAP NRC, and we are testing and validating our system with a different cancer research and university, and we are in the phase of the validation of our technology.
Any final questions from our judges? Okay, well, Ali, thank you so much for sharing the MOC Biotech story. It was really great to learn it, and looking forward to see what comes next when it hits the market.
Thank you. Bye.
And with that, we have heard from each of our founders, and now the judges have their work cut out for them, and a very, very difficult task. I want to thank all the founders again for joining us today. I know I speak for everyone watching when I say amazing pitches, incredible companies being built, and it was a real privilege to be able to learn, the work that all of you are doing. We're now going to take a few minutes to tally the scores, and we will be right back. Please stick around and give us about 5 minutes to finalize everything, and then we will let you know who our winners are. Okay, be back soon. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for sticking with us and waiting this out as our judges finished deliberation and selected our winners. I'm very excited to say that we're now ready to let you know who the Idea Early and Growth Stage winners were of the EWC Canada National Competition and the companies that will be advancing to represent Canada in the global finals and go after the big bucks and the huge opportunities. First, we're going to go through each stage one at a time. We'll let you know who the winner was and highlight the presenter from that company. And, you know, I have to say, we're going to start with Idea Stage at the very beginning. And it is a hard one. The Idea Stage was by far the closest from a scores perspective. It was incredibly close. Both presenters ended up doing an amazing job. But unfortunately, there can only be one company that is the Idea Stage winner. And with that, our Idea Stage winner, I'm proud to say, is Pragmaclin. Congratulations to the Pragmaclin team and to Bronwyn for an amazing presentation today. Next, we have our early stage winner. Again, a bunch of amazing presentations and a really hard decision, but I'm excited to share that Halo Medical is the early stage winner of the national competition and will be advancing to the global finals. Congratulations, David, on a really great presentation and all the work you've done thus far with Halo Medical. And then finally, our growth stage winner, I'm excited to share, is Marlowe. Congratulations to the Marlowe team and excited to see you on the global finals in Riyadh. Congratulations, Harriet and Nadia, on incredible progress and traction to date. And we, again, all three of these companies have a huge road ahead of them to the global finals, and I'm sure are going to represent Canada amazingly and continue the tradition of Canadian companies bringing home the major prizes as we go to the global finals this year. With that wraps up the national finals of the EWC Canada competition. We'd invite all of you to check out entrepreneurshipworldcup.com. Stay on top of the next stage of finals. Check out the global finals. You'll get the opportunity to see these teams from Canada compete against founders from all across the globe. And I would just like to say one final special thanks to our national organizer, Startup Peel, as well as all of the partners at the Global Entrepreneurship Network, Monshat, and everyone who made this possible here today. Thank you so much and hope you have a great rest of the day.